Hey everyone, this is Nick, and now we're going to be taking a look at the milk frothing on both the Magenta and Magenta Prestige. So these machines are great at eliminating that wait in the drive-thru, that attitude from the barista across the counter. These are machines that can get you delicious cafe quality beverages at home. Now on the Magenta Plus, we have the commercial style steam wand. So that's going to take a little bit of practice at first, but once you've mastered that frothing technique, you're going to be able to get perfectly textured milk for all of your favorite drinks and even try your hand, say, at some latte art. So if you're committed, that's something to definitely look forward to. And now on the Magenta Prestige, we've gone to the opposite end of the spectrum. That has a auto frothing carafe, and that's why this is what's called a one-touch machine, meaning that with one touch, without moving your glass, you can produce a milk beverage from start to finish. And now, when you're done with that, the whole carafe assembly can be removed, stored in the refrigerator, and saved for next time. So, two really different ways to prepare drinks, but both incredible. Let's get into it. All right, now it's time for me to be the barista. With this machine, again, we're going to use this commercial style steam wand to froth and texture our milk. Now, the first thing that I want to say is that it's really important that you get yourself an appropriately sized frothing pitcher. So this is really going to be helpful with getting a proper roll in the pitcher. And what I mean by that is when we position the wand in the pitcher, it's going to start folding the air into it. And that roll and the vortex that we create is how we incorporate the texture for a proper milk beverage. Now, it's very difficult to do that if you have a larger pitcher. So if you're making a single drink, something like this, which is about 20 ounces, is way too big. You're going to want something that's about a 10 or 12 ounce if you're going to make a single drink. And now something else to remember too is that the milk is expanding, right? We're adding air to it. So 6 ounces of liquid that we pour in is going to eventually get bigger and bigger as we add more air. So there is a bit of a procedure though that we want to follow in order to start steaming. Let's first start just by selecting the steam option, and you want a large container kind of like this, because what we're going to do is we're going to press start, and the whole thing that we're doing is that there's going to be a little bit of water that's condensed inside this line, and so we have the machine heating up. Eventually you'll hear like a sort of rhythmic thunking sound. That's how you know that you've reached full steam temperature and steam will start to dispense. So basically what we're going to do though is we're going to let this purge any of the water that's out of here, then stop, fill our pitcher, and then start frothing again. So I don't have a ton of milk in here, but I'm going to aim for a Cortado, so I really don't need a lot. And basically, we'll go ahead and press steam again, and it will not take very much time. So let's simply get the steam tip in there, and you want it basically just about touching the surface of your milk. You'll hear about a paper tearing sort of sound, which is how you know that you're adding air. And if you want a real tutorial, which this is not, we have an amazing YouTube video that covers it that AJ has done. So let's press start. And so it's important too to make sure that you have a towel handy to wipe down your steam tip, and then also too that you leave the wand still submerged in the milk, because there is a little bit of a delay between when you push that stop and when you actually get the froth to stop being dispensed. Now we are first though going to dispense just a little bit of hot water that will purge out anything that's left in the wand. And I can use that remaining bit of water to wipe down the wand just a little bit further. And that's just all we need here. That's nice and clean. Now I have my milk frothed here, and you'll see my attempt at latte art in a moment, but we'll go ahead and brew a shot now. And that will be our manually frothed milk drink. So not anything perfect, but you can see the beginning of the layering of the milk versus the crema on the top of the espresso. That's really going to come down to how you blend that foam in with the milk, because if you have more of a very dry, very airy foam, that will be a very dense layer that floats on the top of your coffee. But if you've properly frothed the milk, say for the latte art, you'll get some of that milk that will pour below the surface of your crema, and then some that will actually begin to pour into it and create the design. This is something, again, that's going to take quite a bit of practice, so if your first few don't look incredible, just keep up the practice, make sure to learn the proper technique, and you'll be pouring latte art in no time. All right, so I have traded in my barista cap for a button pushing cap, which is of course still something that I'm good at. Now, first though, the gang's all here as far as our accessories as the milk socket here is concerned. We have the auto frothing carafe and then also our hot water spout. Let's get this one out of the way first because it is far less exciting, but this spout simply fits into the front of the machine. Now, this is useful if you want to, say, dispense hot water, or if you have the carafe in the fridge and you don't want to look at the open socket, you can put that in there to preserve the aesthetics of your machine. And then to dispense water from there, you'd simply select the hot water option. You don't need to see me do that. Now, with the carafe, we actually have just a little bit of nuance that I want to cover here. It's pretty basic, but we have a min and max line for filling, but more important is actually how we can put this into the machine itself. Now, if you notice, and there's a correct orientation for this bottom carafe, there's a small tab that sticks out of the front and a notch in the base. This lines up with this tab here in the drip tray. So when we install this, we want to make sure that this notch is facing forward. So we simply insert the carafe in, and then that tab secures the carafe in place while we're frothing. If you put it in backwards, this can slide out during frothing, which will cause the beverage brewing process to be interrupted, and then you simply won't make your drink. So before you even get started, just make sure that the top part of your carafe is inserted properly. Now let's get into making drinks. All right, so now it's time for a bit of man versus machine action. On the Magenta Plus, you saw me make a Cafe Cortado by hand, but let's take a look at how you would do it with one touch using the Magenta Prestige. So, one thing that I want to cover is some of the nuance first to making one-touch drinks before we get started. As you notice, the cup platform must be in the bottom position when you have the carafe inserted. So what we need to do is simply make sure that our spouts are appropriately positioned for the height of our cup and that we have the dispensing arm in position before we get started. Now, if you've noticed, the Cafe Cortado is a fairly small drink, so we have 1.35 ounces of coffee and about 1 ounce of milk. Now, that's a very small volume, but it's something that I want to do deliberately so that you can get a better sense for how that milk froth is going to expand in the cup once it's been run through the auto frother. And now, with my button pushing cap firmly in place, let's get started. And now we are being prompted to do a carafe quick clean. So let's go ahead and do that. Now it's asking us to put a container under the spout, which I certainly don't want to be my delicious cortado that I just made. We'll go ahead and press start. And basically the quick cleans are quick purges. So as you noticed, we had a little bit of milk that came out there. It's basically just getting the frothing circuit cleaned out so that now we could put this back into position and we've got this circuit cleaned. We could put that back in the fridge with no milk left in the line. Now that we've got our Cortado, let's say that we want a drink that's got a little bit more milk volume. Now, this is a classic favorite and one that I'm sure many of you are familiar with. That is the Cappuccino. So I'll select this, and we've got 1.35 ounces of coffee, and in this case, we've got 4.5 ounces of milk. So fortunately, I've got a taller cup here, but there's another reason why I want to show you this drink, and that's really to get into the logic that goes into brewing these drinks. If you noticed, the Cortado actually made our coffee first and then dispensed hot milk into it. When we make our cappuccino, things are going to be reversed. So this is going to be a drink on the flip side where we do our milk first and then brew coffee into it. So let's take a look at that. First, get that in there and rock and roll. And there is our beautiful one-touch cappuccino. And so you can really see too, with that additional milk volume, we have a nice layer of foam right on the top here with a lower layer of blended milk and espresso. And so you're going to have a lot of fun experimenting with these drinks. If you've seen these machines in videos or you've seen these drinks, you can get that same just cascading foam effect right on your countertop, all at the push of a button.